Hi Libra, Sun, Moon, Ascendant, or Venus. This is Dane, and I'm going to be doing your April 1st to the 15th, 2021 reading for you. Now, I ask if this reading resonates with you. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and also to subscribe to my channel. And if you would like to be notified whenever I upload new videos, and I upload all the time, just hit the bell notification button. And if you're interested in any of the cards that I'm using, they will be listed and linked in the description box below. Now, before we begin this reading and clear the energy space, once again, a reminder not to be scammed by anybody in the comment box pretending to be me offering you a reading. This person is not me. They are a scammer. Do not be scammed. I will not be soliciting you for anything. With that said, let us clear the energy space, raising our own energy vibration and releasing any negativity. So take a nice deep breath in, exhaling whenever it feels comfortable for you. Releasing all negativity from the body like storm clouds. Letting yourself feel calm, centered, and at peace as we enter into this safe and loving space. Now let's let the bowls sing as we see what the tarot has to say. And since the cards have already been shuffled beforehand and meditated upon, let's see. Let's dive straight in. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides, Libra. April 1st to the 15th, 2021, Libra. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Sorry, these cards are very thick. They're absolutely beautiful. Guide this reading and show me clearly, angels and spirit guides. Oh, goodness. Okay. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly, angels and spirit guides. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly, angels and spirit guides, angels and spirit guides. Fantastic. Now let's see the chakra energy for this time. Libra. April 1st to the 15th, 2021, Libra. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading. Fantastic. And show me clearly the energy that we need to be mindful of during this time. What is the energy that Libra needs to be mindful of? April 1st to the 15th, 2021. Okay. These three shut out. And then the spirit guide message for Libra, April 1st to the 15th, 2021, Libra. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides. Fantastic. Okay. So we have the chakra, the spirit guide message, the energy here that we need to be mindful of. And let's see what the tarot has to say. The left-hand side is the inner self. The middle is the heart, the emotional self. The right-hand side, the public arena, the public self. So we have the Page of Swords. That's you coming through, Libra, as a student. You're represented by the swords in the minor arcana, by the Justice card in the Major Arcana. We then have the Queen of Wands, fire sign energy, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius coming forward. Then we have the Star, which is Aquarius energy, time frame January 20th to February 18th, amplified by the Sword because Aquarius is also a air sign energy. And then we have the Chariot, which is, of course, Cancer energy, June 21st to July 22nd. This is a very powerful line right here, the inner self. We have the Nine of Swords, crowning our hearts, the Five of Wands, the Four of Swords, and the Tower. That makes sense. We start with nightmares, we end with the Tower in the heart, and that's very powerful. We have the Seven of Swords, the Wheel, which I think is just beautiful, the spider web here. Everything is changing. The Seven of Wands. Now we have the repeat of the number 7 3 times here. So it's divinity calling upon patience. We're going to find ourselves having to call upon patience more than we really want to during this time, but it's going to be important for us to stay calm, to stay centered. There is a sense here of fire and of determination, but we're also going to be looking at truths. And truth is going to be very important to us. During this time, also, Spirit is saying we will get called out on things, little tiny kind of like white lies that we tell, or things that maybe we don't mean, but we think, oh, okay, well, I'll just go along with this kind of deal. And people will have a tendency to call us out, which will be very annoying. So do be mindful of that. And you have the Hierophant right here, which is Taurus energy. April 20th to May 20th is the time frame. The repeat of the number 5 shows that we're looking for freedom, but that things are also going to be resolved more quickly than we imagined, or in ways that we hadn't realized. All right, now the chakra energy for this time is forgiveness. And this is going to be very, very powerful. The heart chakra, when we talk about forgiveness, it's not just simply talking about forgiving others, because that can make us seem rather magnanimous, right? Oh, I forgave that person. I let them go. I'm better than other people who hold on to things. It's forgiving ourselves, which can be the really, really hard thing. The forgiveness, the opening up of the heart and saying, I didn't know better. I made mistakes. I got too involved in things. And that's okay. That's okay. I am still moving forward. And at times we will find ourselves getting mad at ourselves. You know, why didn't I do this sooner? Why couldn't I get my act together? The heart needs forgiveness. And that's why the heart has the nightmares and the chaos and having to look at the hurts and the pains that we have been through. And it's saying here that during this time, so much of what we're looking at that we judge ourselves by, we're going to be looking at and saying, why do I need this kind of noose around my neck? And why do I need this hurt, this pain, this disappointment to define me? And always with forgiveness, just to be able to visualize the self, to visualize who we once were, and to say, I'm releasing the pain that I've held on to for so long. I forgive me for not knowing better. I forgive me for being vulnerable and gullible. I forgive. And that leads us in such a powerful direction. And then we have the white light here, the white light of spirit and divinity, the white light of inspiration, of cleansing. We are going to find that we're guided during this time by that white light. And we might even find that we're very drawn to candles or to just the soft, gentle glow of the moon and the stars, just this gentle light that moves us forward. Now, the energy we are to be mindful of during this time, always very interesting. So we have here Aquarius, Libra, and the Princess of Swords. So it's very interesting. We have the Page of Swords coming through. In this deck, it is the Princess. And then we have the Star coming through once again. So as valuable as these aspects are for us during this time, it's also what we have to be mindful of. The Aquarius energy, Aquarians can be astoundingly idealistic, also astoundingly in tune with their emotions, and seeing hurts and pains and disappointments that other people will not be seeing because they're so in tune to the world around them, but also to their own insecurities. This can be something that we ourselves have to be mindful of during this time, not to be so in tune with our insecurities that we let them kind of get a life of their own, overtake us, overpower us. There's also a sense here of needing balance, and there is a person who's going to come and try to knock off our balance, trying to make us feel like we can't, when we sure as heck know that we can. So it's going to be very important to embrace our balance, to embrace our understanding, to look at things and to not let people tear us down, and also not to fall down in the ways that we have become accustomed to falling, right? And yeah. And then we have Justice coming through, which represents, of course, Libra in the major arcana. So this is us. And what we're going to see here is that we can get in our own way. We get too much in our own heads. We want everything to be super, super fair to everybody. So we'll sacrifice ourselves. But also, we can't be fair to everyone. We can't make everyone happy. It just doesn't work. Somebody is going to be angry. Somebody is going to be disappointed. Somebody is going to tell you off, because that's what people do. I mean, especially through the internet. It's like, okay, great, you have an opinion. Here, it's understanding that everybody has an opinion. Everybody has a way that they think things should be done. And since they think that things should be done a certain way, let them do it in their life, their way. But in your life, it is time to say, this is what I want. I have to be just to myself. And that justice to the self is going to be intrinsically important, because we'll get in our own way trying to be everything to everyone, especially if you're empathic. If you found this channel, if you're part of this family, you have a high likelihood of being empathic. Now, you might not be. You might just be very spiritually curious, which is fantastic. But if you are empathic and you're dealing with justice and you're dealing with the life theme of justice here, being born under the Justice card, it's being able to be just to everyone in a way by being just to the self. By saying, first and foremost, this is my life. This is how I need to live my life. This is how I need to move forward. This is what I need in justice and practicality for myself, and I can't let others tear me down. The Princess of Swords, this is somebody who acts like a princess, who definitely acts like they are super, super special. They should get special treatment. They're going to use words against people all the time during this time period. They'll also be a really good listener, so do be mindful of this, where they'll listen to everybody and they'll have people tell them things, because they'll say, oh, but I understand, and I'm the only one who understands you, and of course I'm on your side. And then they gather up that information to use against you later on. So just be very mindful. It's kind of like my grandparents, my great-grandma and my grandma used to always say, don't tell everybody your business. First of all, most people don't care. And the people who do will eventually use it against you. So it sounds like a very kind of like weird way to live, but it is also very wise, because most people don't care about the individual's problems, okay? And if they do, they want to know why and what's in it for them. And we have a very small group of people that we can actually rely on in this world. And to know that and to embrace that, that becomes very powerful. And we're going to see here in our inner selves, the Page of Swords. The Page of Swords is this cutting through doubts and fears, is an embrace of the mind, is looking at things differently. We're also going to be inspired. Things from our childhood, though, are going to be coming up during this time. So we're tested. It's like, do I fall into old patterns? Because we'll fall into these old patterns very easily as simply human beings, but also as people who want to make sure that they're always doing the right thing. The Page of Swords here is saying, look at what is desired, look at what is wanted, move forward in this clarity of being. But it's also focusing on the breath, it's focusing on the mind, it's clearing out the clutter, and it's saying there's more here. And I get to have more to my life than what I had originally thought. And it brings us then to the Queen of Wands. This sense of being a student of our inner self, of our souls, of what we desire, leads us to rolling up our sleeves, also leads us to being inspired by people who go after what they want. We're going to find that during this time, we're very drawn to certain types of people. And they're going to embody this Queen of Fire mentality, this Queen of Wands mentality. The Queen of Wands is not afraid to roll up her sleeves. She's not afraid to get her hands dirty. She's not afraid to go after what she wants. She's not afraid to look at things differently. And that is going to be so much of what we want during this time, but also so much of what we want for ourselves, to be able to look at things in an honesty and in a truthfulness, to be able to say, but this is the fire that burns inside me, and it gets to have a place within this world. So we talk about our truth and our passion. And these things are important. Yes, they don't make up the truth for the world, right? We can't say, oh, well, this is my truth, and say, okay, well, history didn't happen, because that just doesn't make sense. But to say, this is how I see things. This is how I perceive the world that I'm standing in at this moment. This is what I'm going after. This is what I desire. That becomes important. Because first of all, if we look at things and say, this is how I'm perceiving it, and we talk it and we speak this to the people who are intrinsically important to us, but also we start to have this dialogue with our angels and our spirit guides. We start to have this dialogue with our inner self, almost like praying. If you pray, if you don't pray, it's just talking. It's just expressing this curiosity and this insight. And all of a sudden, we start to see things in a new way. Also, we can start to be called out if we get into ruts, if we get into sorrows, if we're pushing ourselves too hard, if we're not sleeping enough, if we're not taking care of ourselves. These things are going to be shown to us. And the Queen of Wands is saying, let this torch guide you. Let this passion guide you. Let this understanding guide you. And when we become too kind of stressed out to let our passions be our guide within this world, we have to step back and we have to see more of who we are, more of what we want. But again, also the people that we're drawn to during this time, astoundingly passionate people, astoundingly driven people, and we're going to want to emulate that within our lives. And it leads us to the star. It leads us to, in a sense, really focusing on what we wish for. The star is divinity seeing the soul's wish and saying, I see you. I see you, I hear you, I understand you. There is a sense here of passion and brilliance and comprehension really moving us forward. There is a sense of looking at what we desire emotionally, but also on the earthly plane, and seeing things very clearly, seeing things very openly, seeing things very honestly for ourselves. The star is this sense of wonderment. It really is. There's a sense of beauty. There's a sense of letting the hopes out instead of guarding them within ourselves and saying, oh, well, I've been hoping for this for decades or, for some years, but also for a lot, decades. And I've almost given up on it. I've almost walked away. And divinity is really saying here, don't walk away from what it is that is deeply desired, because we're going to start seeing, because we're looking at our passions, we're discovering our minds, we're going to start seeing ourselves moving forward towards what we wish. And then the Chariot is this focus, and it's just this laser focus. It's like focusing like a camera. It's like all of a sudden things become clear, and it becomes sharper, it becomes crisper, and it leads us to the Chariot. And the Chariot is the subconscious and the conscious self. It is what we desire, what we hope for, what we need, what we want within our lives. And it's starting to move forward in the sense of, this is what I love. This is what I hope for myself. This is what I want for me, from me. This is the way that I can achieve things. That means so much. It's by the focus. It's by the bravery. We don't always understand that the charioteer is astoundingly brave. I mean, pharaohs drove chariots. Kings and queens and emperors and empresses drove chariots. They were not for the faint of heart, and they were not for the faint of skill. So to be rooted in the Chariot, as we're crowned in the page, in the person who is learning to be the warrior of their existence. In medieval times, you started off as a page, so you started off in the service to become a knight as a page, as a person who would run errands, as a person who had to learn a lot. Then you'd be a squire. You would be under the command of a knight, and then you would become a knight yourself. And that's what is being embraced here, is that we are learning. We are learning about the side of ourselves that we don't want the world to see. We're learning about the side of ourselves we're more than happy for the world to see. We're learning about balance. We're learning about bravery. We're learning about the power of the emotional truth, of where the heart shines and when the heart kind of shrivels away and says, I can't do this anymore. And it brings us to our heart, which is crowned by the Nine of Swords. The Nine of Swords is nightmares, doubts and fears and chaos. The Nine of Swords is all the reasons why we can't. And the heart to be crowned by the Nine of Swords during this time where we have such beauty in our inner self, emotionally, we're thinking, I can't do this. I can't put myself out there like this again. I can't try and fail. I can't fall and hurt. I don't want things to fall apart. And that's fair. That really is fair. But the thing with our nightmares is when we start to learn from them, they can become our greatest allies, because they're really showing us what we fear, what we doubt, how we can't move forward. And when we start to see this, and we start to see where our fears lie, and we start to make ourselves a little bit braver by facing these fears, we start to make ourselves stronger internally, spiritually, knowingly, powerfully. We start to take the nightmares, and instead of making them what rule us, we start to rule them. And it brings us to looking at the chaos. Now, our heart during this time is going to be relatively sensitive, and it's going to be looking at the chaos of the outside world and the chaos of the inside world, of ourselves and also of what we're seeing and what we're dealing with. And there are people who are going to come against us. There are people who are going to try and break our hearts. There are people who are going to want to fight just for the sake of fighting. And there's a part of us that says, you know what, I'm in it. I'm in it. I want this argument. I want you to see that I am right. I want you to understand me. Because we're fighting a deeper battle. We're fighting a battle of all the fears that have compounded upon us, all the people that have doubted us. And this becomes a part of what we want to prove. But once we step back and say, there's nothing I need to prove to you. There's nothing I need to show you to have you understand me. I am me. And when we look at the internal chaos, the chaos that we grew up on, the chaos that formed us, that raised us, all right? Because this chaos comes from when we're little. These are our coping mechanisms. These are the things that we think of when we're in our formative age, kind of between baby and 9, where it's like, okay, if I do this, I'm safe. If I do this, I'm secure. Now, we might not have these coping mechanisms. If you grew up in this perfectly idyllic home, then you don't have these. You might not have these. Well, you could have been bullied at school and then you learn them. But from what I've seen from working with people is that everybody has these. Everybody has scars. It's either from the bullies at school. It's either from the bullies at home. It can be from the narcissistic parent. It can be from the parent that just wasn't able to love, and we look at these scars. We look at these hurts that we carry, and we see how they are impacting our whole entire life. The sense of, I always have to be ready for the next shoe to drop. I'm never going to be good enough. I'm always going to have to, fight so hard and try so hard just to make it a little bit. And what divinity is saying here is no, it's enough. It is enough. And there is a need to kind of focus on why we're fighting and what we're fighting for. And it brings us to the 4 of Swords. I love that countdown from the 5 of Wands to the 4 of Swords. The 4 of Swords, I love this depiction of it, is the wind chime, is the wind, is the current of chaos, calling us to look inward. And it calls us to look at our hurts and our pains and our disappointments, right? And so we look at these and we think, well, you see, it's happened when I was 5, it happened when I was 8, it happened when I was, 14, and it continues on and on. I'm always going to have to. And it's like, stop. Look at how strong you are. Look at how much you've overcome. Look at how focused you have been. The 4 of Swords is telling us to start honoring the life that we have lived. Even if we've made one huge mistake after another. Even if we've messed up in a way that we think, oh my gosh, I'm never going to be able to pull myself out of this. The 4 of Swords is saying, look at you with honor. Look at the self with honor. And see what it is that is desired. See what it is that is loved and wanted. See what it is that is needed. And it starts to build. We start to build a path of what we want from life, of what we need to discover within ourselves, of where we're headed and why we're headed there. The 4 of Swords is honoring our history. Instead of hating ourselves, it's honoring ourselves. And it moves us to the Tower. It moves us to the time in our life, or the time that we're going through right now, when we have been just destroyed in one way or another, where we had to live through chaos, doubt, fear, anger, disrespect, when the whole world has tumbled in, homelessness, hunger, chaos, feeling like there'll never be an escape. The Tower is intense, and it always will be. When we go through Tower times, it's divinity taking us from where we're comfortable. Now, it can be we're comfortable there because it's better the pain we know than the unknown pain. But it's taking us from where we are, and it's throwing us out of our comfort zone, astoundingly. And it's saying, it's time to fly. It's time to see things differently. And what happens with a Tower time is that first we fall, and we're in shock, and we're looking at things, and we can't stop crying. It breaks our hearts. We cry ourselves to sleep at night, and we think, how did I get here? The Tower is the hurt and the chaos that comes. It's things falling apart. But then once we start to see who we are, because the Tower says either we strengthen up or we don't. Either we crumble or we strive. And it is choice. At times it doesn't feel like a choice. As we're crumbling, as we're doubting, as we're feeling, it feels like, oh my gosh, I just can't. But the tower makes us stronger. And it's very interesting that at our root is the facing of this tower, is the facing of things falling apart, and at our crown is the nightmares. So we've had to face the nightmares before. We've had to face the hurt, the pain, and it makes us able to defend ourselves. It makes us have to look back at everything that we have gone through and say, there's more strength here than I realize. The heart is being fortified. There's the strength behind the eyes. It changes the countenance of a being. It changes the countenance of us. It's no longer that wide-eyed, doe-eyed, everything's going to be just absolutely hunky-dory type of spirit. It's that sense of, yeah, sometimes life sucks, and it's not fair, and it's not going to be fair. But I'm going to keep on pursuing my dreams and what I desire. I'm going to learn as much as I possibly can, and I'm going to strive, and I'm going to thrive. And it moves us then to the Seven of Swords. It moves us to gathering up our information. We have to kind of step back from the chaos of things, can be hiding away, just kind of stepping back and saying, I need time to myself. I need not to be seen during this time. I need not to be engaged. I need to embrace my heart and what I desire. I need to embrace my way of looking at the truth. I need to embrace my knowledge. I need to leave some things behind because it's too much for me to carry. And people will say in the public arena, well, why aren't you? Come on, Libra, let's go and do this, let's do that. And it's like, no, I need to take a time out. I need to take a break just for me. And as we do this, we start to see ourselves honestly and powerfully, beautifully and truthfully. The Seven of Swords is when we start to look at the liars in our lives, the hurts, the pains, the disappointments, the angers, and the upsets. And the Wheel of Fortune, it's like, I'm done with this. I'm done in trusting in people who fail me. I'm done in doubting myself. I'm done. The Wheel of Fortune is seeing the beauty of our work coming forward. It's entering into a new season. It's something beautiful that others might scorn. When you look at a spider's web and the water and it reflects off the water, or the dewdrops sparkle on it and the sun hits it just right, it's a beautiful piece. But it's also terrifying if you think of it as being a small insect or an insect. And people anyway are just afraid of spider webs. So the beauty comes in, and others may not see it or understand it or be able to embrace it, but we ourselves will. This is a change that becomes us. This is entering into that new season, that new way of being, that new insight, that new dream, that new idea. It opens up the door. And we're ready for it because we've stepped back. And we're going to think instantaneously like, oh my gosh, I have to fight for this, right? I have to fight. I have to engage in these battles. But the my nose itches. The Seven of Wands is saying here, don't fight every battle. Because if we fight everything, okay, if we engage in everything, then when we really are ticked off, when we are really like, enough is enough, people won't think we're serious, won't take us as seriously. Because they'll be like, oh, that's Libra. Libra's a hothead. Or, oh, Libra gets mad so easily. But when you save your energy for when it's important, that's the game changer. That's when people look at us and they go, wow, okay, so this is important. They're standing their ground here. They're speaking their truth here. But it's not being taken advantage of. It's not letting people walk all over us. It is really saying, no, but this is important to me. This is what I desire. This is what I want. This is what I'm standing for. It's kind of like the people who curse all the time. It just is a part of their vocabulary. And it's like, oh, okay. So when they curse, it's not a big deal. But when you have somebody who doesn't curse at all, it's like, oh, I'm paying attention. Like there's an emphatic emotion behind what they're saying. That's what we're seeing here. That's what Spirit is saying. Don't engage with every idiot. Don't engage with every person who doesn't understand. Save the battle. Because people are going to try and get a rise out of you. Why? Because they want to. Because they get their kicks, stomping on a dream, as Frank Sinatra said. And we just can't rise to every occasion. It's exhausting. The Seven of Wands is like, okay, be just, be fair, be insightful to the self. And fight the battles that are needed because it aligns us with what's truly important to us. Remember, the Hierophant, who is represented by the Pope in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, right, who is symbolically representative. The Hierophant is the only being within the deck that could tell kings and queens and emperors and empresses what to do. He had the last say. And so here with the Hierophant, it's being true to ourselves. It's letting that energy have that say, but it's also engaging with the power of authority. And it can be channeling somebody who I see, it's like either somebody who has passed or somebody who is older and wiser, who embraces their power quite forcefully. And it's like, okay, now we're starting to step into that role of this is what I have to say. This is what I desire. This is how I'm moving forward. This is what is right. And it opens up our eyes. It opens up our world. It gives us a greater understanding. And it's not being pushed around anymore. In the public arena, we're really making a stand. And first, it takes us to kind of step back and say, okay, I need to gather things up. I need to see what's important, what isn't. And then the seasons change. Like, things are changing. I have to move with that change. And then I know when to fight and I know when not to, because I'm moving with that change, because I'm understanding me better, because the essence of me is guiding me forward. The spirit animal message here. Libra, April 1st to the 15th, 2021, Libra. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Oh, goodness. The spirit energy, the spirit animal energy is the buffalo spirit, and it says the abundant universe will provide. We worry, we doubt, and we fear. And we think, oh my gosh, I'm never going to get there. The abundant universe, what abundant universe? Like, have you seen my life? Have you seen the way things have fallen apart? Have you seen that even when I strive, even when I believe in myself, I don't quite get there? It's like I'm holding on to a precipice, like I'm holding on to the edge of the cliff, not wanting to fall. And what the abundant universe is saying is that you're not falling into an abyss. Let go. See what happens. Stop taking things so personally and open up the door to what is wanted. Seek and discover and become. Question. The universe holds more answers than we could ever imagine. And as we seek and become, we embrace a deeper understanding of truth, a deeper sense of self. That's again where the Hierophant comes through. It's the learning how to love ourselves, even though we've been through the time where we might not have liked ourselves at all, where it has been hard and terrifying. And it brings us to needing to embrace who we are and what we want and what we desire. And to do so with integrity and a centering on the heart and on the emotion. The subconscious spirit animal message is the grasshopper spirit. Take a leap of faith. Why? Because it's time. It's time to leap. It's time to see. It's time to go. It's time to see things differently. And the subconscious spirit guide message is authentic. To be the authentic self. To move forward and see the light of truth, this white light shine with authenticity. Well, that's going to be a game changer. People know who's authentic. People know when people are sincere and when they're not. It might take a little bit of time to discover it. Some people are really good at lying. They just are. But to have that authenticity of emotion, that power of personal realization, that's a game changer. It leads us to our subconscious chakra message, which is personal power. This is the solar plexus chakra. This is embracing the power that comes from following our gut instincts, from also aligning ourselves with our gut feels and saying, all right, there's a way I need to listen to me in order to move forward. There is a sense of gaining the power of my understanding, of my intellect, of what I desire. And there's a sense of, okay, I can gather up all the information I want. I can say, I'm going to be as correct on this as humanly possible. And then in the end, we still need to trust divinity, ourselves, and what we desire. So the solar plexus chakra is going to be very, very important. The subconscious person message is the King of Cups. The King of Cups is telling us the only person that we rule within this life is ourselves. So do so with dignity and respect. Do not let yourself be emotionally manipulated, which, I mean, if it was so clear to know that somebody was emotionally manipulating you, you would be like, oh, no, that's not cool, not doing that. But there are going to be people that come during this time especially that want to say, well, I did this for you, so you owe me. And it's like, well, no, you did that because you were being nice. I don't owe you. Going to be people here who want to rule your life instead of ruling their lives, because it's just easier. It's easier to tell other people what to do than to actually implement it yourself. There's a person that will come forward whose bark and bite, okay, can be quite intense. So just be mindful. But if we rule our lives and ourselves, if we stand in our integrity and we say, you know what, I don't have any dirty little secrets for you to pull out. Or even if you do, I'm going to own them. Yeah, that was my past. That's fine. This is my present. This is who I am. And we stand as kings in the dignity of our personage. They're not going to be able to pull us down the way that they want to. And that's going to be important. The subconscious tarot message is the Eight of Cups. We're walking away from something we once thought we would love. There's an ending here. It can be the ending of a relationship. It can be the ending of a mindset, a time frame. It can also be just simply an ending. The contract ran out. It's time to graduate. It's time to move forward. And we're walking away from something where we once thought, oh, I could do this forever. But yet, we know that we can't. And now there needs to be that time of connection with self and what we desire, and bravery to say it's the next chapter. It's the new way forward. All right, Libra, I hope this reading has resonated with you. I wish you nothing but light, love, peace, and happiness. May harmony always be with you. I'm sending loving, healing energy to each and every one of you. I love you all, and stay safe. Let's end this reading with a meditation, a clearing away of negative energy, a raising of our positive energy as we face the chaos and as we move forward more truthfully stabilized in what we want, in what we desire, and in who we authentically are. So take a nice deep breath in, exhaling whenever it feels comfortable for you. May you move forward in peace and in harmony, Libra.